Hey everyone, I have purchased a new camera. I have in front of me a Canon VIXIA HF R700, a nice, inexpensive, high-definition camcorder, and in this video I'll go over some of the specs of this camera and also what gets included in the box, and then in some future episodes we'll actually examine the video and audio outputs of this new camera. So let's jump into the specs. So you can see that this is your typical camcorder style of camera. So it's designed primarily to make it easy to shoot video, but you can also take pictures with it. You can see the label on the side says that it is 1080p recording, so high definition recording. It supports two types of audio codecs. You have your MP4 and your AVC HD, so you can record in either of those two kind of styles. And it also boasts things like image stability, so it has automatic image stability, which is really nice when you're actually looking at it and you have kind of shaky hands. This kind of eliminates a lot of that shakiness. And if we open it up, you can see that it has a nice LED panel. This panel is touchscreen, so there's no buttons, it's all touchscreen, which is very nice. The panel opens up and then can rotate 90 degrees down and up to 180 degrees forward, so you can be recording yourself, and see yourself on that screen, which is a very nice feature of this. And if we take a look on the inside, we can see that we have a USB mini input, an HDMI outputs, audio-video output, and also an external mic input. So this means you can plug in an external microphone and it will record through the video, which is really nice. We also have the slot for the SD card. This has no internal memory, so you do need an SD card in order to record. And then you have the on and off buttons and to switch between recording mode and playback mode. And if we look at the back, this is where the battery pack goes. So it does have an external battery pack that you have to slide and connect in, which does increase the bulkiness of this unit pretty substantially. It is a quite big battery pack, but the camera itself is really, really light. So it doesn't really make it that cumbersome to carry around. It's just kind of strange to have a giant battery hanging off the back here. If we go around to the side, you can see you have a button for your thumb to record. We have indicators for power and charging, and also whether it's accessing memory. And then up top, you have your standard kind of zoom, so you can zoom in and zoom out through this. And on the other side, besides the handy wrist strap, we have the charging port, so you charge the battery through the camera, and it also has the shutter, so you can either have the lens cap open or lens cap closed just through this little switch. And it has a very nice mechanical feel to it, so I really like this kind of lens cap. And you also don't have to worry about losing an external lens cap or anything like that, which is pretty nice. And as for what else comes in the box, you have your charging cable, you have a USB mini cable, you have a HDMI cable, which is pretty nice that they included one, and you also have all of the documentation. There's 3 separate instruction manuals here in different languages, but the manuals themselves are all bare bones. This is basically just telling you how to plug it in, and it refers you to online documentation for the full documentation on this. So this is just how to get you started, then it points you to a PDF on their website, which is actually pretty nice. And then all of the other kind of registration things that you would expect from a new camera. So as I was saying, the screen is touchscreen, so you don't have to use any kind of external buttons, you just poke wherever you want to, and it feels very responsive. It doesn't take any kind of force in order to activate it, and I haven't had any kind of misclicks or anything like that, so this is a very nice touchscreen. So let's talk about what kind of movies this can record. So we can see that we have 2 different formats, the MP4 and also the AVC HD, so 2 different types of formats. And in both of these formats, you have different kind of quality options. So your default for MP4 is 17 megabits per second. You can bump that up to 24, and if you bump it up to 35, which is the highest, it gets recorded at 1080p, 60 frames per second. So this can record in full HD, 60 frames per second, which is very nice. And there is no limitation to how long this thing can record, except for your file size and battery life if you don't have it plugged in. So there's you don't have to worry about this thing overheating or having to stop recording at a certain length of video as you do with some other cameras. So that's very nice. And if you want to record really long times, you can bump it down to 4 megabits per second for low quality, but for extended recordings, which is very nice that you have that kind of option. And with the AVC HD, you also have quality options, and it can also record in 1080p 60 frames per second. So let's talk about shooting mode. You have, of course, your auto mode, where it will change the settings based on what the camera thinks is best. You also have a baby mode, which makes it easy to follow a baby's growth. You can do unique decorations on the video afterwards. It can overlay the baby's age on pictures and do some specialty stuff for that kind of things. We have the highlight priority mode, which makes it perfect for sunsets and that kind of thing. We have cinema mode, where you can add different kinds of cinematic filters and that kind of thing. You have your scene mode, where it makes it really easy if you're recording in snow or the beach or landscapes, that kind of scene. And then, of course, you have your programmed kind of mode where you can control everything. So if you want to have full control over focus or exposure, that kind of stuff, this mode was what you're looking for. And as I was saying earlier, this has built-in image stabilization. So if you have pretty shaky hands, this thing can correct for it up to an extent, which means that your images will appear much smoother than it would have without this kind of built-in dynamic image stability. So that should be a really handy feature. You can see as I move this around, the image isn't moving as much as you would expect on screen. So this has been a quick showcase of my new Canon VIXIA HF R700 video camera. In a future episode, we'll go and compare the video output of this camera versus the camera that I'm currently using, which is a Nikon J3. So we'll compare and contrast the video output on that, and also look at some of the other bells and whistles of this Canon camera. So be sure to subscribe to see that video when it comes out. And again, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching Hoffman Engineering.